Welcome back to Erie News Now Sunrise. All this week, we're looking back at the COVID-19 outbreak and, of course, the resilience that we've seen from our community. We have former County Executive Kathy Dahlkemper in to sit down as we look back to 5 years ago. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning, Tracy.
Isn't it unreal to think it has been 5 years since that day?
It really is. Something that has so profoundly changed our community, our country, and really our world. None of us knew that at the moment when that outbreak happened.
So let's take a moment first to look back to when you realized that we needed our community to lock down.
Well, what we saw happening was that it was spreading pretty quickly in the United States. I was actually in Washington, D.C. in the first week of March for the National County Association meetings. And an outbreak had occurred at a nursing home in Washington State up at King County, which is Seattle. And so that county executive had to rush back to out of DC back to his state. And that's when I think we all realized, wow, this is serious and this is going to affect all of us. So we came back here, I came back here to Erie, and then we saw cases happening in the southeast part of our state, Philadelphia area, and those collar counties around Philadelphia. And it was quickly spreading. And so I actually made the decision, I talked to Governor Wolf and made the decision to shut down Erie County a little bit earlier than many other counties in the West did. And I think it actually saved us some lives.
So 2 weeks we were supposed to be shut down. Let's be honest, this consumed you for far more than 2 weeks.
Far more than that. Yeah, we thought it would be just a couple weeks. We had no idea. You know, in the beginning, I think people forget that the experts didn't know how it spread. They didn't know what we needed to do. We weren't wearing masks in the beginning. We were cleaning our surfaces like crazy. And we didn't realize it was all airborne. And so it was more of the masks that were going to help prevent the spread. So there was so much unknown in the early days.
It was just quite a ride here. And there were some rough patches in Erie County. What are some of the moments where we could have done better or that we learned from?
Well, you know, I think the first case was always the big wake-up moment for us, and the first death was obviously very tragic. But I think what we learned really early on is that those who lived in our most vulnerable communities were not getting the care they needed. And then I think we shined because we actually partnered with the neighborhood centers in the city of Erie and with some of the other more vulnerable populations to improve those statistics that were terrible in the early days. So the other thing I think that really was a shining point out of COVID is we came together in new ways. The rivalries came together, and I'll say even from the TV stations. You know, I was up at QLN every day doing these press conferences, but each station was able to feed that to all people watching. The hospital systems came together to try to find the best strategies for all hospital systems, and all the school districts came together to find the best strategies for our students. So that was, I think, the shining moment. But there were some scary times in those early days, especially when we saw certain populations much more affected. Nursing homes, our minority populations, certain populations that didn't have as great of access to the tools you needed to fight this.
Thank you so much. We're going to continue this conversation when we come back for more Erie News Now Sunrise.